Welcome back, listeners and viewers of the Stop Watering Dead Flowers podcast. As you might recall, I put out a little shout for your own stories and your own particular dead flowers that you've been harbouring in the backs of your minds. And I'm pleased and delighted to say that one of our few but loyal Patreons, one of our gardeners, if you like, for this show, Adam from Australia, has sent us in a story, and this is going to be one of the first ones we share. Again, we want to hear from you, so if you've got any particularly horrible, regrettable, embarrassing, brain-worm moments that you just can't get out of your head, please do send them in. This is what Adam from Brisbane said. This was off the back of the Christopher MacArthur Boyd episode, when I revealed a horrendous story about myself farting in a supermarket. And he said, your farting in the deli story reminded me of a story from when I was 11 or 12 and working in a tiny corner store in Brisbane. At close, I'd always have to sweep and mop the shop, which didn't take that long because it was just 3 aisles and a newsagent aisle further away from the counter. Since I was just a wee boy, I thought I was slick, taking my time in the newsagent aisle and taking a quick peek at the nudie magazines there. Keeping in mind I was at most 12 years old, so I had limited exposure to adult content at the time. Safe to say, I was intrigued. Anyway, the landlord was a prick and tried to kick the owners out and claim the stock as his own. So instead, the owner had the staff's friends and family into the shop for a party after it closed. They gave out beers, Prosecco to the adults, and let everyone take whatever they wanted off the shelf until the shop was empty. At this shopping spree party, he stood on a milk crate and made a lovely speech to about 30 of us, including my whole family, about how much he'd appreciated our support, they'd loved owning the shop, etc. And then at the end, he said, you can take everything in the shop except the adult magazines, because they can be returned. Plus, Adam's been looking at them for 5 minutes every night, so you might not want to touch them anyway. He absolutely stitched me up in front of my family. Oh, my days, that's awful. Whilst peeking at the magazine was about as wholesome as it could be, I was mortified that he made it sound like I'd been wanking in the corner of an IGA each night at 12 years old. I've not thought about that in a very long time, but it keeps me up at night. Wow. Horrendous. But these are the stories we want to hear from you. Please send them in. Thank you very much, Adam. And welcome everyone to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers. Stop watering dead flowers. Hey, I'm delighted to say our guest this week is the wonderful, the cultural icon that is Neil Bratchpiece, aka the wee man, aka just all round kind of performer, writer, comedian, rapper. I mean, you do it all. How are you, Neil?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for listing all the things that I'm passable at.
Yeah, cartoonist as well. I mean, a great
cartoonist. Yeah. That's how I made a living during the pandemic and beyond, actually. So it's a good wee skill to have in the wheelhouse when society shuts down and it's not possible to get audiences and live events and stuff. So it's a nice wee thing to fall back on that you can work on remotely and sort of scan and just send stuff like that. It's ideal.
Are you secretly hoping for some other kind of epidemic?
Well,
so
not secretly at all. I'm very open about how much I enjoyed the pandemic, how refreshing it was to retract from society. It's absolutely my default setting, it turns out. I really found myself in lockdown, and every day I wake up hoping that a lab creates something or someone else tries to buy a kebab for a wet market. I don't know, who knows how it started, but I keep my fingers crossed every day that someone munches in a bat or something. It's a shame that Ozzy Osbourne just died.
Well, hearing that you probably lean towards more introverted aspects makes me feel like you lend yourself quite well to the format of this podcast, in that maybe you've had these kind of horrendous, embarrassing moments that make you feel like, I don't even want to go back outside because these things have happened.
Oh my God, that's like a daily, every day I wake up and go, oh shit. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you're the same, but it's like every night struggling to fall asleep because it is these wee just trivial things you remember
Yeah.
for 20 years ago, and then you wake up going like, what new ones am I going to create now?
Oh, they're
What's going
horrible.
to keep me awake in 20
Yeah.
years for now?
That's really, honestly, I keep saying the only reason this podcast became a thing was because I can't stop thinking about how many I've got.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of relieved when I hear other people's, and then almost a bit dismayed when some people come on and go, I'm actually pretty good at just letting things go.
Really?
I'm like, who are you?
No, I've got almost a disorder when it comes to that. That's another thing I did in lockdown during the pandemic, is I had a series of wee Ebenezer Scrooge moments where I would suddenly, because you're locked up, you can't go out, and you can't help but reflect on your past and things you've done and stuff. So literally, it was like a Rolodex of going through my childhood, finding people on Facebook and going like that. Sorry, I made a big stain in your carpet when you had an empty when we were about 12. Do you know what I mean? And literally, I did actually message a guy with that. I actually got in a fight with another boy I went to school with during his empty.
Oh, really?
So I messaged him, 30 years later or something like that, apologising for that. I'm not friends with him on Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I could tell how surprised he was, sort of appreciative. He was like, mate, I've literally not even thought about that since we were Wayne's. It's fine. I mean, that carpet probably get chucked out about 25 years ago. And I was like, I explained to him, you know how as we lockdown, I'm having these wee reflective Ebenezer Scrooge moments.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, mate, if I started doing that, I wouldn't have stopped. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's quite refreshing to hear
It's
that.
awful, but I've got something similar that's like, it's not the same type of story, but in terms of thinking that you have to almost apologise or make amends for something when the other people hasn't even thought about it.
So you actually make it worse by bringing it up.
This is a really pathetic one, but when I lived in the States and it was coming to the end of the year, obviously prom's a really big deal over there. And there'd been a girl that we'd kind of, as much as you can go out with someone at the time, I was only there for a kind of short, intense period of time, but really liked her. And if anything, I liked her too much. And I had a kind of devil on my shoulder mate called Matt Brown. And he was like, this is your last party, really. This is the party in the thing. You should not play the field, but it was like, maybe you shouldn't just go with who you really want to go with, because this is your last chance to like ask someone. He had this weird, this doesn't make any sense, even as I'm saying it out loud. But really everyone expected me to ask this one person just because we were such good friends, and it would have been an awesome way to go. But I think there was a part of me that also was surprised at my popularity, aka I was a Scottish person in an American school, so I was just exotic to them.
Yeah.
And so I asked someone else, I think because I was scared of the thought of it being like really serious if I asked someone, because in my head the American prom was like, well, if I ask the person, everyone thinks that we'll probably end up getting married. Like that was how my brain worked. I was like, that would be really serious. I'll ask somebody else. And again, it's so even saying it out loud now, this sounds pathetic. That wasn't really a big deal. But about 20 years later, so yeah, probably around the COVID time, I emailed a girl I hadn't spoken to for about 20 years to say, by the way, I often think about how I should have asked you to prom, and I didn't, and I feel really stupid about that. And she was like, she did reply, but she was like, what are you even talking about? Like, what? And it made me feel so pathetic. But I'd thought about this since the year 2000,
right,
and then had reached out to her to say, I really feel like I made an error. I chose like Indiana Jones, like I chose the wrong goblet type of thing. Like, you have chosen poorly. But it had no consequence to anyone. It was literally just going to prom with a girl, having a couple of dances, and that's it. It wasn't like American Pie.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to prom with someone to get laid type of thing. It was literally just, who am I going to pick up and get a courgette and dance with?
Yeah.
Who am I going to get a nice picture with? And I had it in my head that this person must have been like, God, I can't believe that Scottish guy didn't ask me to prom. But she could not care one. She couldn't care. She was probably the most relieved person.
Right.
I can't believe it. Now I'm starting to think about that again.
Right.
I kind of feel like I should email her again now.
No, I don't. No, I doubt you should.
No.
I think it's,
But yeah, you overthink about these things. you
yeah,
know?
definitely. That's actually quite sort of, I don't know, refreshing to hear, because it's like I've got a bunch of them in my head.
Good.
Where like every so often I'm like, especially if I get a wee drink in me, I'm like, maybe message them about how I patched them and get off with someone else about 15 years ago in fucking Maggie Mays or something. Do you know what I mean? But I think it'd be more offensive if you did it now.
Yeah.
As if it comes across like you're saying like, I'm sorry I didn't grace you with my
Yeah. That was the worst thing about.
overpowering sensuality. I used my powers for another lucky lady that night, and you know what I mean. What could have been for you? Do you know what I mean? It's like
That's the worst
an element
thing
of that.
I think about now. When I think about the fact that I did email her, I think of her being like, "Who do you think you are?" Like, I really wasn't bothered at all. And if anything, you've now just confirmed that I dodged a bullet by not having a picture that'll stay in my memory. Wow. Anyway, shout out to Jessica if you're listening.
She's not.
Still regret it.
She's not.
Well, this sounds perfect. I try to hide my glee at people that come on here and actually are just hollow shells of humans with terrible regrets and embarrassing moments.
Oh my God.
But let's dive into one, and as tradition dictates, we will start with your childhood one that you've picked out. What do you got?
Well, it's not so much a moment of childhood, but sort of childhood leading to moments later on when.
Okay.
So it's like we talked about earlier on, how like I do cartoons and like comic strips and stuff, and I've been lucky enough, you know what I mean, especially for kind of the pandemic on, make a bit of a living doing that. Like I've done a lot of comic strips for universities, sort of educational comics and climate change based things, and it's actually allowed me to travel abroad further than, do you know what I mean, comedy or entertainment had. Like worked in Nepal for a wee while, in Kathmandu, working with kids in this climate change comic project in Malta and Ireland and stuff like that. So it's a nice bit of, I don't know, validation in my adulthood. I've gone like, cool, this is the thing that I can do, that I can, you know, occasionally make a living out of. So, but I'd always been cartooning from since when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's something I could just do from very early on.
Do you know, just as an aside, sorry to interrupt, but I think when you're saying like from when you're young, you find out that you're really good at drawing. And I always think, because I've got a mate he was just really good at drawing. He never pursued it, but there must be a moment where like everyone else in like the school classroom as a wee guy just like drawing cock and balls and stuff like that, but then maybe you've drawn one and everyone's like, holy, that is an incredible cock and balls.
Well,
like,
no, you do not want to see me drawing a cock and balls. It is far too detailed. It's what is one of my specialities. I found out where it's just almost, I find it almost offensive how simplistic other people make it, and they always make the pee hole go down like further than it should. You've ever noticed that? Like they do the sort of the end of the foreskin, or if it's circumcised, you know what I mean, the top of the helmet. But it's like they always draw the line like right down to the helmet, as if it's going to open up. Like the thing at Star Wars that swallows it. Do you know what I mean? When it's Star Wars, it's like the whole penis opens up in half. You're like
a Venus flytrap.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what kind of mutant Hellraiser penises have you got? You think that's how it works? So I always made a point to be like, just give it texture and like do at least one thick pulsating vein down the middle, and the pubis in the exact right place where it should be, and just like you get the errant hairs coming out of the ball sack and stuff like that. Cock and balls are not nice to look at. That's they should be shown in the sort of goriest detail imaginable, just to make it realistic and stuff. So even as a kid, I always remember folk could just do the wee simplistic two circles and a wee.
Well, that's why I wondered, because it feels like that's quite an early on kind of thing that everyone tries to just doodle.
Yeah.
So you'd probably discover quite quickly if yours is more than just the abstract balls and kind of longer balls.
Oh no, I can do a very intricate. The penises and balls that I draw are better than the actual one I've got, basically. Maybe that's what it is. It's a bit sort of
I feel like we should be doing a plug for like commissions or something. Like if you want a very detailed niche, commission cock and balls, then
Yeah, man.
So you
Add
discovered
to
you
the
were very
weird,
good.
creepy DMs that I get out of it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But that is one of the things that I found that I'm like I'm a sort of cut above your average, being able to add detail and stuff. People have been like, yeah, I don't enjoy the faces that people have made when they've seen the cock and balls that I'm able to produce. Yeah, they are unsettling, but they should be. Do you know what I mean? It's like in real life, they're not. You know what I mean? You see someone's cock and balls, it's not a laughing matter. It should be scary.
I've seen a lot of unsettling faces. As well.
Exactly. It's like a PSA more than anything else. So, but yeah, so like I could always draw for quite an early age, and it did sort of set me apart from like classmates and stuff. It was always something that I could do. Well, so my sort of regret or for then is not so much. It's not even on me so much. Even though my mum makes it out that it is on me, it's more I'm just going to vent about my ma here. So I hope.
Get it off your chest.
Well, yeah, I hope you. I'm just gonna treat this like a therapy session because
Please.
I need it.
That's what we want.
Work through some issues, long-standing issues with my mum, but she still doesn't seem to understand why this is a big deal to me. It's like, so when I was a kid, I used to draw a lot. Like I drew reams of my own wee comic strips. I made up tons of my own wee characters. I would do a comic strip for each character to the point where it's like I at one point made a wee index. I made this wee index book of all the characters that I'd created, and I'd done at least one comic strip pertaining to each of them, and some more than others. And so it was close to about 200 characters that I'd made up. Just like I'd draw my own wee versions of the Beano, basically. With what kind of characters do I have? Like Detective Dan, Thrud. Thrud was it Thrud or Thrud? I think was a sort of big Conan the Barbarian style character, Fat Man instead of Batman. You know, better imagination then than I do now, certainly. But because of that, it's like when I got a bit older, I've drawn these reams of comic strips, like tons of them, stacks, and did this glossary and stuff. So when I was a wee bit older, maybe sort of college age or whatever, I went back and I was like to my mum, can I pick up I kept them in a big box, didn't I? Like all these kind of just wild variety of genres like sci-fi and all that. I'd even made my own board games and stuff like that. Just like board games that probably only I played myself. That's how sad I was.
It's awesome though.
Yeah, it's like a cool thing. It would be a cool thing to do to look back on.
Yeah.
And you'll know yourself as well. It's like a cool thing to look back on notes or whatever that you might have made years and years ago and go like, there's actually something in that. There's an idea I can develop now. With a bit more experience or whatever. There's this kernel of something there that I can expand. And I know for a fact that there would have been jokes and wee ideas and stuff that I would have come up with as a kid. That it's like, it's almost there a purity to that. It's like a bit more wholesome thing now that you wouldn't. If I came up with an idea, I might layer it with like a bit of smut or just like, a wee topical reference or satire. You're not sort of burdened with that when you're a kid. So it's just a pure idea, and it'd be a nice thing to look back. Like, there's a wee idea there. Maybe I can make another wee comic or a sketch out of that, or whatever.
This is awful because I feel like there's a heartbreaking moment.
Yes, basically my mum sort of callously is just like, I just chucked them out. Right? So with the reaction you had there, you do understand. You understand my perspective on it. It's just like, what the and like, she still doesn't quite understand. She's like, no, like you should have. I don't know why you're so bothered about that. It's like you should have just said. So my regret basically is not. I don't feel like I should have had to, but not saying to my mum, "Can you save that box of my childhood, please?" It's like, because she still doesn't quite seem to understand that it's like. Got a loft full of like old board games, like old Connect 4, Guess Who, Monopoly or whatever, like stacked up. These are board games that you can still either find, right, in shops or at a push on eBay, right? You can still find them all. Why would you save all them, these mass-produced commercial items that you can still find online, but the stack of things that one person, a kid, created out of his own mind with his own hands, very unique to that one kid. Not just unique in the sense that like oh, like kids make stuff and that, but it's like it did make me stand out in school as like this is the thing that I can do. But you just like, nah, we'll just chuck out all that irreplaceable. Yeah, I mean, creativity and still Disney quite good. So it's like talking about school. I've still got old schoolmates that have messaged me up to quite recently they've messaged me like photos of cartoons that I did with, like in primary 5 when we were like 7, 8 year old, and they're like, I've kept this, or even in some cases like framed it, because I did big cartoons of the whole class. There was one a few old classmates have messaged me about where I did Room 17 Fighter, where I did all the members of the class, but as like Street Fighter characters with all their sort of special skill and superpowers based on their
awesome
either personalities or quirks that were slightly bullying now I look back. It's just like one character had the belly bounce, and it's like that's a bit offensive now that I look back. It's just like it's a sort of cheeky way of telling the kid that they're overweight by drawing them as a sort of you are E Honda in the context of this basically. So there's like things like that when you get older, you're like that's actually quite insulting that I've done it like that, but as a kid you're just like, well, that's your wee thing, that's your quirk. But the point is, it's like they've kept them and it's like quite special to them, like, oh, I've got a wee cartoon of myself as a sort of Street Fighter character. Special to them, even though I was just in school with them for a few years or whatever, but they've kept it all those years, and my own mother's just been like, that's just a piece of paper. Chuck that in the bin, it's just waste. It's sort of summed up by, I mean, I could do the whole podcast just rant about this. My own mum, right? But it's summed up by the fact that it's like I had this board game called Hero Quest when I was a kid,
right?
Which is sort of a watered down versions of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. More sort of juvenile version of that, where you get all these wee figurines like orcs and sort of elves and stuff like that, and you can paint them yourself. So I painted a bunch of them. But the main thing is you've got a board and then you write your own quest basically. So there's like sort of quest master writes their own quest, and then whoever's playing has to go through the sort of challenges. And I would do it sort of, it's meant to be all sort of fighting based and like you need to battle orcs and mummies or whatever, but I would do it more like I loved Monkey Island, with computer games on the Amiga. I still do actually, I still play them at least once a year on PlayStation Plus, right, to the point where I'm like, I could literally, from start to finish, tell you every puzzle, solve every puzzle just off the top of my head sort of thing. It's like that entrenched in my mind, where I will play it every year and just go, okay, let's start at the scum bar and go blah, 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 and sort of pretend I'm having fun, but I really know I'm just going to...
Just enjoying the comfort of the familiarity.
Of memory, exactly. But I would write my quests and Hero Quest sort of based on that, with like a sense of humour, so it's less fighting based and more like you need to barter for this rubber chicken from this orc to go and swap it with this wizard so that he'll give you a spell to open this door and stuff. So it's all sort of kind of pun or jokey challenge based rather than fighting based. But basically all these wee kind of quests, when I think back, were some of the first things that I wrote. Do you know what I mean? First wee kind of sketches or wee scenes that I'd actually written down as a kid, that it's like you then sort of go through it with whoever's playing, and it's almost like a wee improv game for how they react and stuff. So it's, you don't realise it when you're doing it, it's just a fun wee board game at the time,
but it's huge. You wouldn't realise that no one else is doing that type of thing.
It's like it's a way of developing sort of, I don't know, even cognitive skills like that. And so I remember asking my mum, like, what a similar style. I think it was probably after that, of like, oh, you've chucked all my comic strips out. Have you at least kept Hero Quest? No, I chucked that out. It's like, well,
no.
But the logic of that, it becomes almost aggressive past a certain point where you've kept all the things, the mass-produced things that don't have any creative imprint on them. You can buy them anywhere. But the one thing,
the personal,
that depends on your own creativity and you're writing your own things. So no, I chucked all that out. But just to rub salt in the wind, after going through all that, upset about that with her, there was one Christmas in my adulthood, I'm talking about in my 30s probably, go home for Christmas, open up a present, and it's a new version of Hero Quest, and my mum's kind of going like that. Oh, I hope you enjoy it and play it, because I had to find that online, and it took me a wee while and that, and it's just like you try to smile with the face, but your eyes are just like that. Just your eyes are dying inside, because it's like, that almost makes it worse now that I've got a blank version of it. The whole reason that I wanted that box
for
with
your
the
own
painted figurines, customized.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wanted to not just look at the blank figurines and the blank board. I wanted to look at how I'd filled that in. But now she's replaced that with just a blank. So it was almost felt like her going like that. No, please forget about your childhood. Now just look at this blank template of childhood with nothing on it. Just as a reminder that your childhood experience up to your teenage years is just completely wiped from existence now.
That's
completely
horrible.
blank slate. So it's
I mean, it's hard if even in a modern age you lose something from your phone or you lose a bunch of photos, but childhood stuff does feel particularly precious. But it sounds like I'm similar to you in that, but I love keeping stuff.
Yeah.
And I think some people are just different because I feel like I've lucked out because my mum is essentially a hoarder, really. She keeps everything, especially from the kids.
Yeah, man.
So I'm sorry to rub that in.
Nah,
the reason I tell you that is because it almost drives my wife.
I shouldn't. I love my mum, by the way, just in case. I love my mum.
But my wife's mum is the polar opposite, and similarly, she didn't keep anything. And sometimes when we've had to go back down there, my wife's family are in Cumbria, and my wife's tried to find something that again she's felt quite important, or at least something from high school. There's nothing, and she's been told loads of times that that's gone out, that's gone, and it's never been consulted with. I think it's the hard thing.
Never consulted with. That was her argument. Like, you should have said, and you're like what kind of logic is that? Where I'm like, just like I need to remind you. This, look at that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Saying this, but it's not on me. I don't. This
probably wouldn't surprise you or anyone listening, because I feel like even from the first stories I've told in this episode, I'm a very cheesy guy anyway, but I like holding on to things, and I think because my wife's mum has thrown out pretty much everything she owns, she really winds me up about the fact that I've got 3 memory boxes. Like they've got a big sign on them.
Right.
I started with one, but I just can't throw anything out, and I'm like, so even if she'll plead with me to throw some things out, but then at the very least she'll be like, well, at least put it in your memory box. I've got stuff going all the way back, and she doesn't even have like a report card from school, just like a funny thing you can look back on. Not even something as creative and as kind of unique as yours, but she's like, I'd like to even just have been like, oh, my mum kept a report card, or something that's like, that was when I was at school, I drew this thing, but she's got nothing.
Well, that's the thing. I think my mum has kept my report cards and stuff like that, and like old school yearbooks. I know the yearbooks are there, and I think they did keep report cards. They definitely kept, because they found this recently, where they kept old school, like even primary school projects that I'd done and stuff like that, because maybe I shouldn't even say this, but they brought up one. It was a well-meaning thing that I did when I was a kid, where you had to do a big kind of project about yourself and your family life and all your kind of ambitions and things you think and things you think about the world. And they showed me one page that I'd done, things that I don't like. And one of them was racism. And I'd spelled racism wrong for one. I'd spelled it like fascism with an S, right? And I'd done a big kind of red cross through the word racism. But and this was well-meaning as a kid, right? Just to clarify how much I didn't like racism, I'd listed a bunch of racial slurs on the same page with a big red cross through them like that, and like a cartoon, a wee guy going like, no, like that, right? So I'm not obviously going to repeat them, but you can imagine how sort of well-meaning, but out of order this page of childhood scribbling is.
That one was kept.
That one's kept, right? You chuck it my Hero Quest, you chuck it all the wholesome wee cartoon characters, but nah, this page of racial slurs that I've written down, nah, you kept that, just the page.
She's like, I might want to cancel my own son's career at some point.
Exactly, let's take photos of this. Yeah. To be honest, given how X is going, that'd probably get me more followers if I shared that.
That's true.
but I kind of feel like, almost from my mum's point of view, is because they were sort of produced or via an official body, because the school produced those report cards or those school projects. She's kept all them, or these are more official, because I just
people don't really take
cartoons.
I mean, even now obviously, and certainly in Scotland more than anywhere else, but the idea of being creative or liking to be inventive and creative, I don't think it's taken seriously a lot of the time by kind of certainly older generation parents. It's probably just like, it's just doodling about, and but maybe now as well, they'd be more like, oh look, let's nurture this creative talent.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, I suppose that it's only the proof is only in the pudding, and to my mum, the pudding is a wage. Basically, it's just the only thing that she understands. So if she like, and when I was a kid, if if I was able to confirm to her, like in about 20, 30 years' time, I will be able to, this skill will make me survive lockdown, basically. Well, I need to explain what lockdown was back in the day. Like, but brace yourself, cool. Mum, some stuff's going to happen in Wuhan.
They'd have been cool to be able to post now, to be like, here's some of my earliest drawings and stuff. And people love that if it's like, oh, this is like the first time they see like a musician had written the lyrics to a song or something, and it was when they were younger. So, God, my heart breaks for your youthful inventions.
Yeah. It's just a wee sort of, all I've got is a wee kind of patchwork of like various wee cartoon characters that I might come up with. But literally I do remember writing this kind of index of all the characters I'd invented, and it was close to about 200, like I listed them all. You know, some of them might have been in today's world offensive, given that that page of racial slurs that I wrote disapprovingly in primary school. So maybe looking back now, I'm going to chuck that out. Actually.
Yeah, they were of their time.
They were of their time.
They were. It's a shame as well. It's not like, I mean, no one was recycling back in those days as well. So it's not even like they could potentially be out there somewhere.
No.
Kind of, they're now like wallpaper somewhere that they've been recycled.
Yeah, no, I mean, who knows? I've seen stories about guys throwing out pen drives that have got like millions worth in Bitcoin in them. They accidentally throw them out and then they're paying hundreds of thousands for folk to find it and stuff. It's like, I'd like to see my old Thrud cartoons, but I'm not going to shell out for it.
Poor Thrud, man.
Yeah, no, poor Thrud.
R.I.P. It's made me think very carefully now about, I mean, my daughter's only 4, but she already brings home like 10 bits of horrendous drawings of paper from nursery every day, and
keep them.
We try and keep a few, but we do have to throw out quite a lot, usually at the end of each week. Yeah. She doesn't notice. Well,
she will.
I didn't think she noticed, but now I'm like,
eventually.
Like, what are you doing with Thrud? I'm like, no.
Keep them, you know, but I mean, even if they're just kind of like sponge paint squiggles, like you never know. That's,
if she became a famous artist, we'd be kicking ourselves.
Exactly, like maybe Andy Warhol's parents kept all those soup cans that he was bringing home. Do you know what I mean? You never know how it'll turn out. Like,
well, as you said, I feel like we could really just discuss the pain of this one particular story, but we should move on, because it feels like if this is just a starter, there's some more misery to come, and that's what we want to hear. Yeah. But no, I'm sorry, that is a sore one actually. That would keep me up at night when I think about it. Yeah. As a last thing in this story, actually, what I will say is, which I think proves your point brilliantly, when you're saying about even with your mates when you're young, you come up with ideas and doodles. And me and my pal James, because we were big basketball fans and basically the only 2 basketball fans in the village, we created our own game of basketball. We called it X, like Basketball X, where there was 2 different basketball courts crossing over. So there was 4 baskets and different kind of 3-5 point lines and like special areas of the court to shoot for. And we devised rules for it. We wrote it all down. And I had thought that had been kind of lost to the envelopes of time. And then on when did he give it to me? I think it was a wedding day gift. He lives in America now, but he came over, and the envelope with the card in it, I opened it up and it had Basketball X by Christopher Forbes and James Fulton, and it was like the rules and all the things drawn out, and honestly I could have wept. Yeah. It was like, God, that was just, you're so unbridled with anything when you're younger, and it's just flights of fancy, and it captures that wee moment in time when you feel a bit freer to come up with stuff. So God, I hope we find Thrud one day.
I mean, I could redraw it. Yeah, I mean, I remember what the character looks like. He had big, massive shoulders going right up to into his head and stuff. Big kind of monster guy, but it wouldn't have that childhood authenticity to it. Yeah, now, do you know what I mean?
Thrud asking someone if he wants to like nip your pal and all that. It might have had stuff related to your childhood at the time.
Exactly. If I redid those things now, it'd just have that sort of stink of a soulless cash in reboot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like every film that comes out now, just put another
Yeah.
sheen in these old, dust off these old characters, and you know what I mean? Have Pedro Pascal playing Thrud now or something, right?
Well, let's leave that one behind and
No, I need
just
to.
all remember the Thrud and these other characters fondly in our
Whoever they
memories.
might have been. That's the one that I can remember.
Where's your next story taking us? If there's one that's maybe, I guess that one was kind of career, childhood combined as well.
Yeah.
But is there another moment from a kind of career aspect of during any job where maybe something's stuck in your mind?
Well, maybe just in terms of gigging and stuff, you might know yourself that it's like you can do the same set,
Oh yes,
right? 2 nights apart, and it's like a world apart. You can literally say the same words,
yeah.
right? And
You can be
the
an
same
absolute
cadence,
King, and
and then just people
piece of-
will just stare at you. So I'd say my worst ever gig, you know, in terms of the context and stuff, would have been one of the Scottish Comedian of the Year finals,
Oh yeah,
and it was the last one I was in as well.
right.
And my regret is, so it was the 4th one I was in. I'd made it
Wow.
to 3 finals, and obviously never placed in any of those finals. But it was
Right.
like I should have been chuffed enough that I got to the final, and eventually in the 3rd one got a nice review from Chortle, because it was
Nice.
always Chortle would review those finals and stuff. And I was all the first 2. I almost sort of deliberately shot myself in the foot, but
Okay.
the second one especially, I did my whole set just having a go at the guy that was reviewing it, basically,
Brilliant.
which made it memorable for the audience. But obviously, I'm never gonna like win any kind of place in that final. Wasn't in it for that reason. But then by the 3rd final, I made it to final, which would have been the Old Fruit Market again. I think,
Oh
right?
that was nice. Yeah.
Nice big gig, and the gig went nice, so I was chuffed enough that I had a nice wee 10-minute set, and for once I had a nice review for Chortle. So, and then when it came around to the next year, I think I just got greedy. I ended up, in fact, I remember this well because I went into the Gong Show, which was your sort of last ditch attempt to
yeah.
make it onto that big stage. It was the O2 Academy, the final was that in that year. And so I just went along to the Gong Show at the Ivory Hotel, right? And I wasn't just me that won it. It was me and Eddie Cassidy, both
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of joint won it. We both got sort of
Big shout out to Eddie Cassidy.
yeah, big shout
He
out.
used to be on the stand-up circuit. Great guy.
Yeah, and so we sort of we finished even first, I suppose.
Right.
And I, to my credit, I did say to, I guess Alan Anderson would have been hosting it, and because I'd been in the final 3 times, he hadn't, and I did say to Alan like just. He was going to leave it up to the audience vote who went into the final, and I went like that to Alan, just put Eddie in it. I've done it 3 times. He's never been in the finals. Just like he
Very
deserves it more and stuff.
Gracious, very noble.
I wish Alan had, went through with that nobility and just
Yeah.
put Eddie in,
Oh,
because then I went into the final and died in my fucking ass. Worse than I've ever done.
So
And,
he still went, let the audience decide.
Alan eventually, well, it was
Oh,
too,
the joint thing then.
it was too
right,
hard
right.
to judge, so Alan just went, I'll put you both in the
Both
final,
in,
and
right,
I'll,
right.
I'll put an extra 10 minutes on the sort of competition.
So what? So what made the final so bad?
I wish,
Yeah, you
I
just
wish I
don't
knew.
know.
Because Eddie, shout out again, won that final.
Oh wow!
So he
yeah,
got in.
of course.
So he was right to connect on stuff, but what I was going to say is, it's like the night before that final, I think I was gigging in Airdrie,
Right.
something like that, like
And you're like, I can run out the exact set,
the
practice
exact
it,
right, the exact same words, 10 minutes through.
killed it.
Absolutely smashed this
Yeah.
back room at a pub in Airdrie.
Brilliant.
It sounds like you're boasting when you say that, but
No,
gig, but like
you know when it's gone
the
well.
context is the back room at a pub in Airdrie.
Yeah.
You're not live at Apollo. Do you know what I mean? It's like
But you, wherever you are, you know if it's gone well.
yeah, exactly. You get that. You get that just innate sense of it.
You're
and
like,
stuff, and
this
that was
is
a-
ready for
that-
tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a great one. I am ready for tomorrow. And then you go up, went up at the O2 Academy, which was freezing that night. There's some issue with the pipes, so the whole audience is sitting there with their
I heard
jackets
that
on
was
and
a
everything.
freezing cold.
Just wasn't a pleasant night, I think, in general for the audience. And so I went up and just did the exact same set, but to just near silence. Just folk were just staring at me with hostility in their eyes. So it's like, it's not even. it's that feeling like you're talking about when you feel when it's going well,
Yeah.
and you also know when it's going badly.
Boy,
but it's
yeah.
just that extra level of like genuine hostility
Yeah.
of just like they not only are they not laughing, but like they hate me for saying words right now and moving and existing.
There's no empathy or anything.
No
It's
empathy.
just, why are you wasting
No
our
empathy,
time?
no sympathy. No nothing. And sort of, I think the wee review I got there was less a sort of bad review and more like an obituary. It's just a plain report of someone's death. Do you know what I mean? It was just a stark, just here are the facts.
Oh,
This is what
no.
happened.
Time
No
of
opinion
death.
expressed. I'm
Yeah.
simply relaying the news that this person has fucking died before.
Police report.
Exactly.
The victim entered the stage at approximately 9:37 p.m. What preceded was only...
Yeah, exactly.
They're the worst.
Yeah, exactly. This what preceded was either a homicide or a suicide. We're going into the details of the event at hand. So it still just kind of sticks with me that it's like it would have been nice just to leave it at that
Exactly.
third nice review, but it's just.
And you would have, that following year, semi-final, you're like, I've technically won this as well, but I'm letting the other guy go through. You'd have just had all that nice memories.
Yeah, exactly. I would have had a good conscience about it. Eddie went on to win it, so I'd have been in the audience there, like, yeah, you go, kid, like at the end of a feel-good movie, sort of like, just folded arms, like,
we did
walk off into the sunset.
Satisfied, smile.
Aye. As I walked into the spotlight and just 1,000 people's eyes staring at me with
Well, let's
malicious
just,
intent.
since he's such a controversial figure in the comedy world, let's just blame Alan Anderson for this whole episode.
Yeah. Let's just go. All my regrets are just I blame my mum. I blame this comedy promoter. I'm just sort of palming off any responsibility for regrets that I have. But no, it's like I totally, that is on me, because it's like even entering it that year, it's just like it just became not even greed for. In the traditional sense for money, or it's like by that point I knew it's like I'm not going to win this, so there's like no there's no self gain out of this, where it's like do you know what I mean? I'm clearly in reflection, it's like I'm clearly just doing that for attention. It's just for attention, for attention's sake.
It became a big fixture of the Scottish comedy scene every year. It was on, and it tended to have at least quite a cool final and a cool place. So people did love entering it, even just to be like, yeah, it's cool to do a good gig in a nice venue.
I suppose, but it's like personally speaking, by that point I'd been in the final 3 times.
Yeah.
So trying to get into a 4th time fully in the knowledge that I'm not going to win, and I'm not, do you know what I mean, going to get a fringe show out of it and stuff.
Okay, you've convinced me you got what you deserved.
Yeah, kind of. It was on me to even sort of just.
Was that the last one as
need
well,
that
or was it still running the following year? I can't remember when it finished, but was it still running the next year, and you were like, no, because of what happened, or did you go?
It still went on for at least a few years after that, yeah, because. I remember sort of helping, like I was the timekeeper maybe the year after, and I was definitely one of the judges for 2 or 3 of them after that.
Oh, okay.
Which is a strange thing to be asked to be one of the judges when the last time you were in it you died in your hoop. Do you know what I mean? It's like
4-time finalist, though.
It's 4-time finalist. That's all you need to hear.
It's like when they get someone that's done quite well on, like a Strictly or X Factor to come back and be a judge. You know?
Exactly. But it's almost like, I don't know, I felt like one of those judges that you get, I don't want to name any names, but you get judges in Britain's Got Talent where you're like, what are you doing as a judge here? Talent?
You thought you were that person?
Right, I thought, I felt like Amanda Holden up there. I don't want to name names.
You've got terrific legs. You're doing yourself a disservice, I think, there. I think you're a well-respected body on a judging panel.
Not as much as Amanda Holden's. Let's start being pervy about this. But I mean, it's like it gave me a good sort of line. I remember being a judge a couple of years after that, and sort of it was Ian Stirling hosting, and he threw at the judges asking what they were looking for out of contestants, and so it gave me a good wee line. So it's like some good came out when I was like, well, I've been in this final 4 times. People might not know that. failed miserably at least 75% of those times. So I'm looking for one of these acts to die in their fucking arse tonight. So like, it sort of got one of the bigger laughs kind of early on in the night, because you know yourself, it's usually quite tense at the start of a competition like that, especially the comedians that are waiting to go on are quite tense and stuff. So that
you're getting a big laugh as a judge, and you're like, oh, maybe I should
go into this again. In fact, get away, Eddie. I'm gonna smash it this time. So you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, a personal, you know, failure, and quite a hard thing to take on the night. But you take what you can for that, and if it leads to even just a wee self-deprecating joke that gets a wee laugh a couple of years later, then you know what I mean, every cloud has a tiny silver lining, I suppose.
Well, that's it.
Aye.
It's good though. It's a painful dead flower, as they say. But this is the perfect type of story, because you think about it and it was awful, but as you say, you got something from it, and hopefully we learn from our mistakes. I don't know.
I guess, I mean, one thing I learned for that is just, I don't know, question yourself why you're doing something. Like, what's the motivation? Are your reasons sort of altruistic, or are you just being a greedy, attention-seeking wee bastard? And I think in that case, that was the case. And if it's just like attention for attention's sake, then certainly it's something that my mum would disagree with, because there's no guaranteed wage out at the end of it. So, you know what I mean, these lessons combine into...
Well, at least I would say you sound very self-aware though as well, because there'd be plenty of people that just be like, God, I can't believe that last one didn't go so well. I don't know what was wrong with the audience, and I've kept entering it, and you've gone, I don't know, I probably shouldn't have done it, and you've there's growth there.
Growth, aye.
The Dead Flowers podcast is all about about growth.
Well, it's even just, I don't know, it allowed me to reflect on sort of my act at the time and stuff, and how, because it is so confusing when I'm like absolutely stormed that gig the night before, and then just had people staring at him. But it was almost a case of, you know what I mean, you see it from their point of view, and you're just like, well, a lot of it was kind of based on proximity, and sort of being that character when you're in a, you know what I mean, a wee attic room or a back room in a pub, and people are right there. It's just like that sort of aura you're trying to create or whatever sort of works very well, and they're just a few feet away from you, and you can see the whites of their eyes or whatever. But when I was in that big stage, all of a sudden, miles removed to them,
very different.
It was just like shouting into the wind, basically. It was just like, I can understand it from their point of view. Like, why is that wee guy staring at one person in particular when we can't even see who he's staring at or whatever? I don't know. It's just like...
But listen, they still talk about that gig in Airdrie though. You're a hero there.
Yeah.
People that were at that gig.
Aye. Unfortunately, they still talk about that gig at the O2 Academy as well, but...
Right.
Swings and roundabouts.
Let's move on. We've still got a couple to get through. Let's go to a relationship tale, which is always the most... I feel like it's the most panicky one.
Panicky?
People to share, or just the most kind of vulnerable, nerve-inducing one a lot of the time.
Right. Well, mine isn't so much anything specific as just a thing I've learned in relationships is never to be honest about anything.
Controversial.
Possibly. It depends who you talk to. I don't mean like in terms of like big, serious things, just like it
feels like you have been honest about something and it's really come back to bite you.
Oh, all the time, man. All the time. Like, as a guy talking to a girlfriend, you can never answer the question honestly, or that honest answer will be kept as information in their arsenal forever to hit back at you with, basically. So you always need to just make... This is terrible advice. But I'm not talking about like big serious things, just like, do you have any kids? You can't fucking lie about that. Or like, are you already in a relationship? And
are you in the kind of white lie territory of the, like a kind of classic, do I look fat in this? Like
that, exactly shit like this, right? Exactly stuff like that. Do I look fat in this? Or even It's less about personal things. Not that question, does my bum look big in this?
Yeah.
That's an awkward thing to answer now, because like, what is the correct answer to that? It used to be, remember there's like the fascio Arabella Weir's
That's right.
character was like, does my bum look big in this? And you're meant to say no,
Yeah.
or else it's insulting.
But
now with the popularity of twerking with Megan Thee Stallion,
Yeah.
are you meant to have a bigger bum?
You're supposed to go, yes,
You're meant to
it
go, yes,
does.
it's massive. It's like, whenever I'm in the gym, I see women just sticking to that Stairmaster machine
Yeah.
because they're trying to get that shell fast thing. And you're like, that's a world apart for like the 90s when that was like unheard of. You're meant to, do you know what I mean? It's like that'd be totally against the grain. Whereas now everyone, you get women getting implants to make themselves walk like a duck. And you're like,
It's mad.
What's
trends.
Changing trends. It's like, what is the correct lie to tell
Yeah,
in situations now? But just in terms of like, what do you think, especially when it comes to like, what do you think about? Well, see, here's a question. I don't know if you've ever been asked this, right? But it's like, I remember getting asked. So you don't actually like big fake breasts, do you?
Wow.
Right? What would you say to that?
In
See,
general,
you've waited too long.
Yeah,
You've waited too long,
I'm trying to think of the
'cause I already know the
context.
answer.
Like, I'm already going, right, well, who's asked this question, and would you alter your answer?
See, that's
But I
the
guess
context. That means you're not going to be honest, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those questions where you think, what am I supposed to say in that?
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to say now, and what would you just say? I think genuinely I would go, well, no, natural's always best, but there's probably a part of you thinking, well, you see it so often that you can't say that sometimes slightly enhanced things look pleasant. It's a horrible question, though, isn't it?
A very politely diplomatic way to put it. That if you said that to your significant other, that would be kept. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, and you can
Remember
never.
that time you said enhanced features are pleasant?
Well, but her, do you like her enhanced features then, do you? Like, so like, but it's that way, but it's like, the correct answer to that, if we're being honest with ourselves, is, well, yeah, or else they wouldn't exist, technically, right? Think about it logically.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that sort of question being put to me is almost like accusing me of inventing them to make you feel frustrated about this woman being, I don't know, attention seeking for your point of view. Is that the way women see it? I feel like women, well, that specific thing, women do see it as that woman's cheated to garner the male gaze.
True.
And therefore instantly a dislike her. But I think that's a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, but for a guy's point of view, you're like, well, kind of wouldn't exist in the first place if I don't know how to, even right now I don't know how to answer this, right? But it's one of those trivial things that you don't even think about it until it's put to you, and then when you're put in the spot, if you even leave the question hanging there for a second, you go, I'm in trouble now, because of that surgeon that did something else to her. And
it's not like you did the surgery just so then you could marvel at your own work.
Yeah, exactly. Any question like that. I've had questions in relationships being put to me like that where I'm asked to answer not on behalf of myself,
right,
but on behalf of men.
Yeah.
In general, do you know what I mean? So when you're asked,
pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. So when you're asked to sort of comment on behalf of men in general, you need to lie.
Yeah.
Because men are pieces of shit that way. And do you know what I mean? I shouldn't be expected to, do you know what I mean, take the flak for how, you know what I mean, society's structured.
It's Alan Anderson's fault.
It's Alan Anderson's fault. I'm not putting this one on my mum. Let's just blame Alan Anderson for this as well.
That is a tricky one, though.
Right?
That is. If you've listened to this, go and ask someone else this horrible question, just to see how uncomfortable they shift.
Yeah, shit like that. A bunch of uncomfortable questions like that shouldn't. There's just some things maybe that shouldn't be brought up in a relationship, right? Where it's like kind of subconsciously you kind of know the answer that you don't want. So it's like don't open that Pandora's box of too much truth, too much male truth. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you don't want to know.
Welcome to the Relationship Advice Podcast.
Yeah. But like stuff like that, right? just general things like that. Where it's just, let's just when you're in a relationship, it's like, you know, on the surface it's meant to be like, oh, we need to be honest about everything. You're like, no,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. That's not the foundation of any healthy relationship anywhere in the world between a guy and a woman, right? Anywhere. It's never going to work if you're just totally. Have you? This is a personal one, right? But have you ever been asked like, what type of porn do you watch? Like, right? You brought up the kind of the funny magazines for the guy for Australia earlier on. You can never answer that.
You could never, especially if you had a real specific one.
Well, the more specific, the worse it is, right? That is an impossible one to answer. It's one of those things that should just be like, we need some things for ourselves, right? And that specifically that's a personal thing, because any answer is wrong, right? Apart from if you go like, one that's starts off nice and the guy's being very thoughtful and
just
brings
where they
flowers.
both kind of really have a nice time.
I like pornos when they've both been, you know what I mean, very solidly in love for a good 5 years before they've decided to take it to the next stage.
I just like a rom-com. Well, let's just watch rom-com. That's my porn.
I just like nice things. Never say cum shots. Never. Never say cum shots. But because it'll be impossible. I don't want to sound sexist or like, do you know what I mean? Generalise genders here or whatever, but it's like, I just regard it the same way as like, I'd rather watch football highlights than watch a full game. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a nice wee condensed, back of the net, and then it's over. Just a nice wee put it on in the background. When I'm eating my dinner, I don't need to sit down and concentrate for an hour and a half or however long it's going to take. Maybe extra time and penalties or whatever. No. You get the nice wee condensed, do you know what I mean? 5 to maybe even 20 minutes, the extended highlights. But you just get the pow, back of the net. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to sit through all the bullshit. I don't need to fast forward anything. You just get the highlights back.
What an analogy.
Right?
What a shot.
Exactly, what a shot. Like, just off the crossbar. Oh, that was close. Off the crossbar. Right? So it's like,
I feel like this is the story we should have saved for the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You've done gigs on OnlyFans. This could be
that's true. Please sign up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that sort of thing, it's just like, well, I'm saying that to you. You understand the context of watching the football highlights.
Man.
But I just never say that to a girlfriend, because she might not get the football highlights analogy. Just, do you know what I mean? Just will focus on the, you know, you just like watching the technically most demeaning part of sex video, right?
We've all learnt a lot more about Neil on this podcast here today.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Thrud, a distant memory now.
Yeah.
Those whimsical moments of your childhood that we really endeared you to us.
Yeah.
And now...
Probably my mum was right to chuck out the curtain. Like, I don't know what I was drawing Thrud doing.
These are great though. I mean, very honest shares as well. I think that's commendable that you're honest about these types of questions. I would say that's the 3 main stories. And as we always say now, we always like to tease. Tease feels like a horrible word to say now at the end of that kind of porno chat. But we always like to tease the fact that we are now going to hear a 4th and final story, but that's only for our exclusive Patreon members. So if you do want to hear extended bonus content from each episode, please do sign up. It's less than a price of coffee. What is it, £3? £3 a month to sign up for the podcast Patreon. It's huge. It really will help. Hopefully, if we get enough people. The lifeblood of the podcast. It feels like you could be a great mascot for this whole podcast. You're just like, hundreds of regrets. Don't be honest. It's
just terrible advice I'm giving folk.
But it's been great. It's been great to hear. Honestly,
giving them pointers what to look up in porn sites. Way after that's not even a possibility in the UK now. Like, it's actually, you need to sign over your mortgage just to look up a couple of highlights.
As well as giving our listeners some fantastic advice, tell us where can we find you, what can we hear you on, see you on, what's upcoming?
So this is after the Fringe, right? So I won't be able to plug the Fringe. I don't know if it'll be after. I'm doing a wrestling show at Braehead Arena.
Nice.
But that is September 4th. So that might be prior to this coming out as well. But if not, I'm doing a show called Clan Wrestling at Braehead Arena with the likes of Grado and like Mark Dallas and Jack Jester and Gallus, Wolfgang and the Coffee Brothers, who have just returned from WWE. It's a big family show there, and the kids absolutely love it. They certainly enjoyed the last one we did there at Braehead Arena. So bring them along unless it has already been. And if it has already been, then I'll also do a podcast called The Heavy Good Podcast with Mark Dallas and Roy Bryson, which usually releases a new episode every Friday. We've all been quite busy recently, so I'll maybe kind of compilation episodes that are going up, but
Nice.
They should be going out every Friday still anyway.
Great. Well, a big thank you to Neil Bratchpiece for coming on. Thank you to everyone as usual for listening. Thanks to Sean Stables. Thanks to Chris Thorburn and the Stand Comedy Club. Please keep tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, all the things you're supposed to do with the podcast. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Back of the net.